Your skull is currently hosting a quiet, invisible construction project where the lead contractor is an algorithm running on a server farm 3,000 miles away. Every single microswipe across that polished glass screen is physically dismantling and rebuilding the neural networks of your prefrontal cortex. You are not simply consuming content. Your brain is translating the frictionless design of the infinite scroll into a literal biological blueprint, swapping out long-term focus pathways for lightning-fast, highly volatile novelty detectors. You are living through the largest uncontrolled psychological experiment in human history, and your cognitive architecture is being rewritten in real time. Let that profound transformation sink in for a moment. What we are looking at is a remarkable biological realignment called experience-dependent neuroplasticity. This is the precise scientific mechanism by which your brain physically reshapes its cellular structure based on repetitive behaviors. When you spend hours gliding through a bottomless feed, you are training your brain's neural highways to expect zero resistance, instant gratification, and a continuous stream of highly unpredictable visual stimuli. The digital mechanism at play is the infinite scroll, a design choice that completely eliminates physical barriers, paired with the biological process of synaptic pruning and myelin optimization. Your brain is literally adapting to a world of endless novelty, but in doing so, it is quietly turning down the volume on your capacity for deep, sustained attention. Consider how this physical restructuring manifests in your daily routine. You sit down to read a book or write a complex report, and within 90 seconds, a strange, itchy sensation creeps over your mind. Why does the physical world suddenly feel so painfully slow? It is because your neural circuitry has been calibrated to a speed limit that physical reality simply cannot match. To understand this, we must look at a landmark study conducted by Dr. Gary Small at the University of California, Los Angeles, in 2008. He and his team took older adults who had never used the internet and scanned their brains using functional magnetic resonance imaging. After just 5 days of performing simple web searches for 1 hour a day, the scans showed a dramatic explosion of activity in the prefrontal cortex. The brain rewired its own neural highways in less than 5 hours of total exposure. This study proves that your neural pathways are incredibly malleable, but it also reveals a hidden systemic cost. When the prefrontal cortex is constantly overstimulated by endless choice and flashing novelty, it begins to prune away the synaptic connections that govern deep concentration. Think of your brain as a dense, lush rainforest. Every time you focus on a single, complex task like reading a long chapter or learning a musical instrument, you are walking down a quiet, narrow foot trail. The more you walk it, the clearer and wider that trail becomes. But when you open a social application, the algorithm built a 12-lane, hyper-illuminated superhighway right next to your foot trail. Of course, your neural traffic chooses the highway. It is designed to be completely frictionless. Every gesture requires almost zero motor effort. You do not even have to click a button to load the next piece of information. You simply let your thumb drift upward, and the universe provides. This effortless interaction model tricks your reward center into believing that valuable resources are being gathered with zero caloric expenditure. Now, let us zoom in on the absolute masterpiece of neurochemical engineering that makes this happen, the reward prediction error. Many people assume that dopamine is the molecule of pleasure, a chemical reward released when you find something you like. But this is a massive scientific misconception. Dopamine is not about pleasure. It is about anticipation. In 2016, Dr. Kent Berridge at the University of Michigan published groundbreaking research that clearly distinguished between two distinct neural systems, wanting and liking. Liking is the quiet satisfaction of eating a meal or hugging a loved one, mediated by your brain's opioid system. Wanting, powered by dopamine, is the desperate, driving urge to seek, search, and discover. The infinite scroll is a masterful exploitation of this exact wanting system. Every time you pull down to refresh or let the feed glide upward, your brain is playing a digital slot machine. Will the next post be a hilarious video, an angry political debate, a stunning photo of a beach, or a boring advertisement? Because the reward is completely unpredictable, your brain releases a massive surge of dopamine not when you see the content, but in the microsecond before you swipe. You are literally hooked on the anticipation of what might come next. This is the reward prediction error in action. When the reward is 50% predictable, dopamine firing spikes to its absolute maximum. The algorithm knows this, and it deliberately mixes mundane content with highly engaging content to keep your brain in a permanent state of high alert anticipation. Before this digital migration, your brain existed in a state of high threshold stimulation. You had to walk to a library, open a physical book, search an index, and read pages of text just to find a single piece of exciting information. Your dopamine system remained baseline, firing only when you achieved a meaningful goal. Today, your brain is bathed in a continuous high-frequency tide of micro-rewards. But here is the fascinating twist that we must recognize. This is not entirely a tragedy of cognitive decay. We must look at both sides of the coin. This high-velocity environment has actually supercharged certain aspects of your cognitive architecture. Modern screen users possess an astonishing capacity for rapid visual processing. Your brain can categorize an image, assess its emotional weight, and decide whether to engage with it in less than 1/10 of a second. You have developed a highly sophisticated cognitive filter, an ability to scan vast oceans of data and make instantaneous associative connections that would have baffled our ancestors. You are not becoming dumber, you are adapting to a new ecosystem. The real danger is not that our brains are broken, but that we are losing the cognitive flexibility to shift gears between this rapid-fire scanning mode and the deep, slow-wave attention required for creative contemplation. When was the last time you read a book for an hour without checking your phone? If you are like most people, the mere thought of it makes you feel slightly restless. That restlessness is not a personal failure of willpower, it is the physical sensation of a dopamine deficit state, your brain craving the high-velocity feedback loop it has been trained to expect. So, how do we take this profound scientific understanding and use it to reclaim our neural sovereignty? We do not need to throw our smartphones into the ocean or retreat to a cabin in the woods. Instead, we can use the very rules of neuroplasticity to redesign our digital environment and rebuild our attention spans. By understanding how the brain responds to environmental cues, we can easily reverse engineer the feedback loops that keep us scrolling. Let us start with the first, highly actionable shift, the deliberate injection of friction. Since the brain is highly sensitive to caloric efficiency, it will always choose the path of least resistance. If your social apps are sitting on your home screen, only a single tap away, your motor cortex will execute that command automatically before your conscious mind even realizes what has happened. You can disrupt this automatic loop by moving your social media applications off your home screen and burying them inside deep, nested folders. Or better yet, delete the applications entirely and only access them through a mobile web browser. The slight lag of a loading web page, the necessity of typing in your password, and the clunky user interface of a mobile browser are exactly what your brain needs. This tiny 3-second delay acts as a cognitive speed bump, interrupting the subconscious dopamine loop and giving your prefrontal cortex the necessary time to step in and ask if you actually want to open this right now. The second physical modification is to strip the visual environment of its primary neurochemical triggers by converting your screen to grayscale. Color is a highly potent evolutionary signal. Bright reds, yellows, and blues are deeply wired into our biology as indicators of high-value resources, such as ripe fruit or potential danger. Software engineers intentionally use these saturated hues to make notifications and application icons look irresistible. When you turn your device's display to grayscale, the visual feast instantly turns into a sterile, uninviting slate. The red notification dots lose their urgency, and the vibrant video feeds lose their hypnotic pull. Your brain's wanting system looks at the gray screen and simply loses interest, allowing you to use your device as a utility tool rather than an entertainment device. The third and perhaps most transformative habit is the cultivation of structured micro-boredom. In our current digital landscape, we have completely eradicated boredom. The moment you stand in a grocery line, wait for an elevator, or sit at a red light, your hand instinctively reaches for your pocket. By doing this, you are constantly suppressing your brain's default mode network. This network is a complex web of interconnected brain regions that only fires when you are not focusing on the external world. It is the birthplace of your creative insights, self-reflection, and long-term memory consolidation. When you fill every single empty micro-moment with digital input, you are starving your default mode network of the quiet space it needs to process your life. Try dedicating just 5 minutes a day to doing absolutely nothing. Sit on a bench, look out a window, or simply listen to the ambient sounds of your environment without a screen in sight. At first, your brain will scream for stimulation, but within a few days, you will feel a profound sense of mental clarity returning as your default mode network begins to weave your daily experiences into deep, lasting memories. As you begin to implement these tiny shifts, a quiet but monumental transformation takes place in how you perceive your digital life. You start to realize that you are not a passive, helpless victim of a predatory attention economy. You are the conscious curator of your own nervous system. When you look at your phone, you no longer see a simple window to the world or a harmless tool for passing the time. You see it for what it truly is, an active, highly sophisticated neuroplastic interface. Every tap, every scroll, and every moment of intentional focus is a physical vote for the kind of brain you want to possess tomorrow. You begin to cherish your attention not as a resource to be sold to the highest advertiser, but as your most sacred personal possession, the very lens through which you experience your short time on this earth. With this knowledge in your hands, the balance of power has officially shifted. You understand the hidden machinery of your own biology, and you possess the exact tools to master it. Go forth and consciously sculpt the neural pathways of your future. And prepare your mind, because our journey into the hidden architecture of the digital world is only just beginning, as we prepare to decode the silent, invisible frequency that is quietly reshaping how your body regulates its internal clock.